Hey, smart authors, welcome back to another episode of the Smart Author Podcast. In today's episode, I'm joined by Marjah Simon. Marjah runs and operates the Author Writers Academy, and she has a different way to help people get their message and their story out of their head and their hearts and onto a book, a published manuscript. And she just has an amazing way to be able to channel the depths of what people have to tell as stories and experiences. And I think just generally speaking, this episode is a little bit less tactical and more story-based and strategic-based. But it's a fantastic conversation between Marjah and I around her background and what it really takes for change and for you to make a difference in your life and the life of others as an author. So I think you'll get a lot out of this episode from that background. And regardless, I hope you enjoyed the conversation that we had, because again, it was fantastic. And I look forward to hear what you think. Hey, Marjah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. So happy to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure that you're here. And one of our friends, Kevin, connected us, and he had some amazing things to say about you. So from what I've read, you've had a pretty interesting story to get to where you are today. I'd love if you can let everyone know a little bit about your background. And just so everyone knows, Marjah has now the Author Writers Academy. So she does help authors with writing and publishing books in a little bit more of those effortless methods. But certainly it wasn't always the Author Writers Academy.
No, it actually wasn't. I created Author Writers Academy to help primarily entrepreneurs, which are most of my clients, become authors, authentic authors without having to write a word if they so choose. And so I've created a system and a process to take them from idea to published, marketed book. And so all they're doing is showing up, having a conversation with me and my team, and I'm pulling their authentic story, the lessons, the wisdom, the experiences, the things that actually make for a powerful book out of them. So they're just having a conversation and approving their manuscript, approving their cover, approving their marketing campaign, and we're getting their book from out of here and out of here into here. And so it's a labor of love, and I love seeing entrepreneurs win, making it fast, fun, and easy for them. And the secondary and third client groups that we help, we work with executives like doctors, lawyers, CPAs, presidents of corporations, things like that. And we also work with entertainers, so professional athletes, retired athletes, and people in the Hollywood space, stage, screen, behind the scenes of the celebrities. And so these are so basically, we are working with people that have taken non-traditional routes in life, that have moved past what was obvious, what was given, what was told were perhaps their limitations, and they figured things out, and they've succeeded in some area. And I love to help them to expand who they are, expand their mission. And the reason I'm helping entertainers and executives and entrepreneurs is because I've all three. And they say we're often our own first client. And as you saw from my bio, I've had all of that in my background. I'm a lawyer, and so there's my executive part. I've practiced law for several decades, and it's been rewarding and challenging, like anything else. But when it was time for me to go, it was really hard because, like a lot of professionals, it was part of my identity.
Mm,
Most people aren't practicing medicine, they're a doctor. They're not practicing law, they're a lawyer. And so it's very difficult to separate out your identity of that you've taken on as who you are and and um, and move away from what you're doing. And
Mm,
so it took me. Tony Robbins is one of my coaches, and one of the things he teaches is about that moment of decision, that heartbeat. And it took me 5 years to come to that moment of decision to say, I'm
wow.
done. I'm tired of being miserable, doing something that no longer serves my soul, serves my spirit. I feel like I'm not making a difference, helping, and I'm miserable. And
Mm,
money is not enough of a reason to give up any more of my life. And
hmm.
so and they always say it's the straw that broke the camel's back, not the whole bale of hay. And don't know what it was, but one day I went into work and I uh, it was Monday morning and I was crying the night before, knowing I had to go to work, and woke up going, oh, and dreading that morning. And a lot of us think that it's normal because we've
Mm,
been fed this belief that it's normal to dread Mondays, to hate your week and to live for your weekends. And and sometimes we work so hard fighting for what we don't even want. And
mm.
I heard someone say, "You work just hard enough not to get fired." and, I got into work that day, and I sat in my car going, "Okay, I can do this." And I, after 15 minutes, got out, went upstairs, unpacked my briefcase, and the phone rings. And it was the security manager. And he calls on some sort of power trip, and he's like, well, such and such. And he starts speaking. And it was a lot of bureaucratic red tape and ridiculous stuff that had nothing to do with my job. And I, in that moment, I just got tired of always fighting with the opposition, fighting with the clients, fighting with the people I was working with, fighting with the system that I was working within. And I was like, thank you very much. And I hung up the phone, packed up my briefcase, and I was done, just like that.
Wow.
And it was a scary decision because, like I said, the identity. I Even though it was making me physically ill, mentally weak, emotionally unhealthy, I was still doing it because it was the American dream. I had
Mm,
the corner office and the title and the money, and when I spoke, people had to listen, but it was not fulfilling. And I said, I'm done. And when I actually left, went to the personnel office and quit in that moment. Tony
yeah.
is always talking about never leave the site of a decision without taking some sort of action. And so
Hmm.
I went in and said, I'm done.
Mm,
And I started crying in waves of relief, no longer crying tears of pain. And it felt like this weight just lifted off of me. And in that clarity, in that moment, I heard in my spirit, it's time. And it was and I knew it was about a book that was a spiritual download, is the best I could call it, that happened 2 years ago. I was woken up out of my sleep with words just pouring through me. And I was writing and writing and writing and writing, and I couldn't stop it. And this went on for days. And when the words finally stopped, I'm reading all of this. And I'm like, I'm not publishing this. And I was like, I don't even understand some of it. There's stuff in here I don't want to tell people. There's stuff in here I'm never sharing with anyone. And I hid it on my computer for 2 years. And one of the other reasons I hid it and knew I said I was never publishing that book was because about 10 years prior, I wrote and published a book called Fork Disease Go Vegan. And it was painful and it was hard. And I went with a traditional publisher. I wasn't getting a lot of help and they were taking my rights and my money. And I didn't have a support system. And a decade, I'm writing this book and I'm putting all of me into this book to make a difference for other people. And I was like, there's a disconnect here. As an author, why should it be so hard and painful for me to help other people with what I've learned? And
Mm,
it didn't seem to make sense. And so, fast forward, when I have this book that I hid because I didn't want to go through that pain again, and I hear it's time. And at this time, I said, okay, I didn't have a job. I was fully surrendered. I was like, I'm all in. Whatever's happening is happening. And I said, okay. And in that space of openness and surrender, I was able to receive all of the people that I needed, the systems, the processes. It was fun and it was easy and I got it done. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the experience that people should have.
mm,
And I've been a serial entrepreneur my entire life as well. Always had a side hustle and something that I was doing while I was working a job. And it's just, again, part of my DNA, the entrepreneur DNA. And I was like, how can I duplicate this for other people to make their author journey fast, fun, and easy? So
mm,
and I saw a system that I could develop to move people from idea to published, marketed book.
mm,
And when I saw, oh, I can do this, I heard someone saying something about, yeah, 10 years I've been trying to get this book done. And I reached out to him. I said, I can help you. And he said, please. And he hired me. That was my first client. And 3 months later, he was holding his published #1 bestseller book. And I went, I think I can do this.
yeah. Nothing like physical validation.
Yeah, I use my attorney skills and my skills as an empath, which is one of the things I didn't want to share with the world in that book, The One Law, that I published, and which became an international bestseller. And it was the catalyst to starting Author Writers Academy.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that wonderful story, by the way, and I can resonate so many on so many different levels. For those who don't know my background, I actually worked in the iron ore mining industry, and I did that basically out of high school. I didn't get to a point where I was like, I'm a mechanical fitter. I didn't have like an identity around it so much, but certainly the money was excellent, and the lifestyle was not.
Yeah.
I also had that conflict of like everyone who was at work was borderline depressed and hated what they were doing and was away from their family for 2 weeks at a time, only to go back for a week. And we're all earning great money, but we're all miserable doing it. And so, like, it wasn't corporate America, but I resonate so much with everything that you shared there, just from my own personal background. And the transition out of that was like so vague and unknowing. But the determination for me was just like there has to be a better way. There has to be
There
a
has
way
to
for
be
me to
more.
like
Yeah.
earn the money and also have the life and be happy doing it and enjoy myself. Like I love Mondays now, like I didn't
Yes.
before.
Yes. Mondays are awesome.
um, for me, environment and who I spend time with is incredibly impactful.
Mm.
Um, so you mentioned Tony Robbins is your coach. Did you find that you had to find him as a mentor, or did you like change your environment to be around more entrepreneurial people who were like accepting of not living the American dream or whatever it was, before you were able to like confidently go all in on helping people with what you're doing in the Author Writers Academy?
Yes. And I have been intentionally being around people who invest in themselves, in personal development. And even before I quit my job, I had spent many years investing in myself, learning in non traditional routes. And so, yeah, I went to school. I have 3 degrees and a bachelor's, a master's, and a Juris Doctorate, formal education. But the value that really changed my life was investing in the non-traditional ways of learning. All of the masterminds and groups and trainings that I found the money somehow, found the time somehow to invest and to do. And and people that don't understand, I have never done it. They're like, "What are you, crazy? How are you spending that much
Mm.
money?" And when you look, I've spent 7 figures investing in my personal development, but it's changed my life, and it also put me into proximity of other people who are willing to do the same. And so I still do that, and I will continue to do that until I take my last breath, because I know the importance of creating an intentional environment, of creating proximity to people who have done what you want to do, are doing what you want to do, and are walking that journey with you. My friends that I have now, none of them think twice. They don't even blink, or if I could tell them the most ridiculous, out of the way thing that I thought of to do, and they go, "Oh, that's amazing. Okay, let's figure out how to do that."
Yeah.
Oh, I know somebody that can help you with that. Oh,
Yeah.
I met someone who did that once. Hold on, let me get them on the phone for you. And so this is the type of environment that I'm in, to the point where it's really funny. We can't even make jokes because before we know it, people are expanding and like, wait, this is actually happening. Wait, are we actually doing this? We were joking about creating a city, right? Or no? And there's, and you suddenly get to be this creative, childlike, um, yeah, a creator. This is what we're born to do. Every single human being, I believe, was born to be a creator. And we're born knowing this. When we're kids, we play and we're like, "I'm going to be a dog today and a policeman tomorrow and an astronaut the next day. And I'm going to be an astronaut, dog, policeman the next day." And it doesn't matter. And people are like, "Yeah, go ahead, have fun." And as we grow up, as we get a little bit older, probably around the time uh, elementary school age, people start, quote, beating reality into us, telling us to be
Mm.
realistic and what we can and can't do and what our limitations are. And and suddenly our grades in school and the marks that we're getting, the opinions of other people are mattering for our survival. And so
Mm.
if we decide, well, the teacher's wrong, I don't, or no, I don't want to do that, or I don't agree, you get punished. You get an F.
Mm.
And so we're taught that our voice and our creativity and our decisions, our opinions don't matter, very early on. And the only thing that matters is acquiescing to whoever's in charge.
Mm.
And that is a system that's set up to create workers, not entrepreneurs. It's
Yeah.
a system set up to create compliance, not people who break out of the norm and figure stuff out and take those non traditional routes in life.
Hmm.
And even in the way traditional school is set up around the world, it's what did they call it? They give you, you study, and they give you a test. And so what, Chris, what do they call it when I don't know this answer, and you look over at your neighbor and they're like, "Hey, what do you get for C?" "Oh, how'd you get that?" "Oh, okay. What about you? What do you have?" "Oh, what did they call that?"
Cheating.
Cheating, yeah. And so we were taught early on that that's bad, and you're a bad person for doing that, and we will punish you. And entrepreneurs know it's not cheating, it's collaboration.
Hmm.
That is how we all lift each other up. That is how everyone wins. And we're taught through school, you must go it alone. You must figure it out yourself. If it's not hard, if you didn't suffer, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And one of the things I have to help my potential clients to get over is that idea that it has to be hard, that they have to suffer. And I'm like, and so when I meet with someone, I say, do you want to be an author or do you want to write a book? Because those
Mm.
are not necessarily the same things. I can take you down either path, but I want to know which path you actually want.
Mm.
And I've had a lot of clients go, well, I feel like I should do it myself. But you just told me you hate to write and don't have time to write. Why would you do that?
Oh, that's funny. And people just want the outcome of having the book, and they want it to be their book. So it's like their
Yes.
words and
Yes.
their thoughts and their feelings,
Yes.
but
And
they
this
don't
is
care
why, yeah, and that's
about the
why I'm a
process.
conduit for their authentic voice rather
Mm.
than, just making up some stuff on their behalf. And so I tell them I'm not a ghostwriter. Some ghostwriters are really good. They will cost you. um, uh, but most of them, I've had people come to me that worked with, ghostwriters and that went to the fast route, and they're like, I hate this. It doesn't sound like me. These are not my words. I don't even agree with this thought. It's just not me. And so those kind of books don't serve anyone except for ego. And so
Yeah.
what we're creating is authenticity. I want to know your words, your story, your experiences. And as a lawyer, I know the importance of accuracy and
Mm.
making sure that that's actually what's being portrayed
Hmm.
and what's being put out. And so, as a result, I have books that are going through various stages of production, and they all sound very different because they are that author. It's not just the system. It's fun and it's easy and it's a process in the system, so they're getting through, but it's authentically them all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can say no to this, but can you talk us through the process that you take your authors through when they write with you?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And so, like I said, I love seeing entrepreneurs win. I love seeing people rise, and I love to make it easy for them. And so we have a team that does just that. And so they'll meet with me and my team will interview them, bring out their authentic story, their words, wisdom. And when people are speaking, I see words that are forming in front of me. And
Mm.
I'm constantly writing and I can jotting, oh, that's a word. And I see the outline forming. And then we know, again, question mastery, level 5 listening, going really deep and filling in what are they actually saying? What are they actually meaning? And I know what questions need to be asked because of that. One of my other coaches, Sean Callaghy, teaches a formula, and part of that is about question mastery and level 5 listening. And it's not just hearing what's being said, but why they're saying it.
Mm.
Hearing what's underneath that, understanding the nuances, and allowing them to really open up that authenticity because that's where the impact is. And when authors are showing up in their authenticity, making that impact, that's when they actually can expand their network, bring in more clients, bring in more strategic partnerships, bring in more people that they're here to help. And so that's how their mission, their vision, and their purpose is expanded in the world by having that tap into authenticity, into what's real versus what looks good. And
Mm.
so we represent them. And so they show up, they do the interviews. We put their manuscript together for them in their authentic voice. They approve their manuscript. We have cover designers that create unique covers for them, not just some stock photo or things like that, but actually something that's really for them, that's them. And they approve their cover. We create a pre-launch marketing campaign, get them that PR. And I know you know the importance of publicity because a book that's not marketed is a book that's often not read. And
Hmm.
what a shame to go through all of your life, figuring out all of that, getting your book done finally, what almost the entire world never does, becoming an author. Actually, if they ever start their book, they never finish it. And if they finish, if they finish it, they don't publish it. And if they
Yep.
publish it, they don't market it.
Don't market
And
it.
so
Yep.
all of those steps are necessary to actually make an impact. And so that's why I love what you do, Chris, and helping authors to get their books from done and published into marketed. And I am looking forward to having conversations with you about helping more of my clients to get that post marketing production
Mhm.
promotion, because it makes all the difference in the world.
Yep. Yeah. And I think the statistic is something like most authors sell 100 or 200 copies or less of their books, right? In like the lifetime of their books.
Yeah.
Which it's such a shame, like there's so many excellent books out there
Yeah.
and so many people are just so unknown and uh, so my like viewpoint on this is, of course, like there's a couple of trains of thoughts. Like obviously every author is different, and some authors have businesses and things to kind of back up the book, and they can actually reinvest their business revenue into promoting their book, and it's
Yes.
a useful asset and tool for their business. But then you've got like other people who they have they just have jobs and they've written a book because they're like passionate about something, but they don't necessarily have the spare cash to actually put money behind advertising to get their book out there further. And that's the group of people that I kind of feel for in that respect. And obviously, if it's important to them, they'll find the ways to invest that.
Yes.
But a lot of people, when they are in those avenues, they also do have the perception of like, what's the ROI? How can I make money back from my book? And again, I think that's such a hard position to be in, because probably, as you know, authors don't generally make monies from the sale of their book necessarily, unless they're like at big scale, big capacity, and international. So it is a bit of a weird paradigm, a bit of a hard paradigm, but I definitely think that there's a lot of really interesting and viable ways that you can get your book out there and market your book without actually having to spend money, but instead spend time. And there's certainly the ways that I prefer, which are like the more
Yeah.
scalable and you know not so much approachable, but they're less demanding from the author's perspective.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. One of the things, like I said, I am my client. I am an entrepreneur, have been my entire life, multiple businesses in the past, and I am a professional. I am an entertainer. I've modeled and been on stages and danced and been in plays and things like that, and so I understand what it takes to do what they do every day. And it's not easy. It feels lonely, it feels challenging in the ebbs and flows. And yeah, and to finally get to the place of having your book done and out, and then not having people read it, that's also
Mm,
one of the fears, which is what holds a lot of people back. But what if nobody reads my book? And
mm,
they mistakenly think that nobody's reading their book because they have nothing to say, or because their book is not good. But it's not that. It's just, it's not marketed. And so, one of the things I discuss with all of my clients is, what do they want? How do they want to show up? I look at, let's create multiple streams of income from your book. And so it's not just build a better mousetrap and they will, and the world will beat a path to your door. I think that's what the saying is. It's like, no, they won't, or that field of dreams, when we build it and they will come. No, they won't. You have to let them know it's there. When was the
yep.
last time you were just wandering down the street, go, oh, I think I'll go there. That must be where it is that I need. No, you were sold to, somebody told you it was there.
Yeah.
And that's all that marketing is telling people what they need and where it is. Say, hey,
Hmm.
what you need is right here. That's what marketing
Hmm.
is. And they thank you for that. Thank you for letting me know that the answer to my problem is here. And
Yeah.
that's what their book is. It's the answer, it's the solution to someone's problem, it's the
Hmm.
light in someone's darkness. It's making a difference in lives, in generations, in businesses, in health, in all of these areas. We write in all of these different areas of books. And when I'm hearing my author stories and their wisdom and their words and their guidance, I'm like, oh my God, imagine if this had went to the grave, all of the
Mm.
lives that it would not have touched and helped. And it's the same thing if it's not marketed. And so, like I said, we do, before launching, we're marketing the book and we're making sure people know it's coming. And likewise, I say, okay, what are you going to do with it? This is an
Yeah.
asset if you use it. And
Yeah.
so we're talking about, do you want to be on stages? Let's get you a signature speech from your book. Let's
Hmm.
show you how to get on stages. Do you want to do a podcast? Let's show you how to do that. I have people that can help you with that. Do you want to uh, do a mastermind, create courses? What do you want to do? How do you want to show up? There's like 100 ways for you to monetize your book.
Hmm.
You only need to pick a couple and do them,
Yeah.
but something that resonates with you and your lifestyle. But the key is doing them. And
Yeah.
all of them have aspects of marketing to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And certainly for me, like books were the catalyst to changing my life in the beginning when
Yes.
I didn't even know you could buy courses and get mentors and things like that. I just saw books, like, and I think a lot of people out in the world have the same perception. It's like, I mean, maybe now it's a little more aggressive with social media and the Grant Cardones and the Russell Brunsons, and even Tony goes a bit hard these days on socials, but and Gary Vee especially. But back when I started in the industry, which was like kind of before the reels and all of that kind of stuff. Um, I didn't really know. I just saw books. So, yeah. But a
Yes.
book led me to buying a course, and a course led me to working with, interning with the digital marketing agency, which led me to becoming a bit of an expert on this kind of stuff. And I think it all snowballs, and it's kind of it's a fantastic journey because any one person can have their whole world drastically changed because of a book, and then they get to choose their own adventure from there once they
Yes.
have that information.
Oh, I so agree. When I was a child, we were in poverty, and there was no one winning around. So I couldn't just look out and say, "Oh, this is the path, and this is the way to do it." And I wasn't. And my parents, they didn't know how to teach us what they didn't know, and they did the best they could with who they were and what they knew, but they didn't have it. And the two things they did have, which I'm so grateful for, my mother would drive us around the wealthy neighborhoods whenever we happened to have a car, and who drive my siblings and I through the wealthy neighborhoods. She would never say a word and just slowly drive through there. And I didn't have the language for it. She didn't either. She was teaching us visioning, how to see
Mm.
outside of our circumstances. And we would play this game. Oh, that's my house. Oh no, that's my house. Why is your car parked in front of my yard? Okay, you can park your car there. And we would just play and laugh. And unlike the poor neighborhoods and the wealthy neighborhoods, the windows were open and the blinds were up and there were trees and grass, and it was happy feeling and different energy, and we could see right into the house. Oh, we see the chandelier and the hardwood floors and all of the things that, and she didn't know how to get us there, but she knew how to show us what was possible. and and
All
to
right.
hope you figure out your way there. And my father, he's from Trinidad and Tobago, and so I'm first generation born in America. And he was sent here when he was a teenager, him and his siblings by themselves, and and they had to figure their way out of things and figure their way through. And he knew that education was a key. And he didn't, again, he was like, I don't know how to get you all the way there, but I'm going to insist that you educate yourself. And I used to have to read books before I would go out to play. And so
Hmm.
that was, and he would choose the books. So I was given books that I couldn't understand the words. They were above my grade level. I was always so upset with him because I hear my friends outside playing and I'm sitting there with this thick book, stumbling through the words and reading through it. And but what I didn't know is that he was giving me keys and tools to see beyond my circumstances as well. And they say that, books are a calling card, they're like a business card. But I've never had a business card change my life. Books, however, I've had changed my life again and again and again and again, and they still
Mm.
do. And so, no, I absolutely disagree with that statement. And by the time I was in middle school, I was reading on a college level. And I had a thirst and a hunger for books. And I spent my weekends in the libraries when that's where people were still hanging out. And I would just read and take what's the maximum number of books I could take out. And it allowed me to enter new worlds, to open up my mind to new thoughts, new possibilities, new ideas, to see things in a different way, to connect with people that I would never meet in real life. And suddenly I wasn't sitting there in the middle of a concrete jungle in poverty. I was transported into some exotic isle with someone living an entirely different life, sharing their knowledge and wisdom and experiences.
Mm.
And so books helped me. They were also my first avenue into a new life, into what was possible.
Wow. Well, I think that's a fantastic way to end an awesome conversation. Marja, thank you so much for your time today. Where can people find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, so I would love for you guys to reach out to us at Author Writers Academy, which is awaforlife.com. That's AWA for LIFE.com. And if you spell for right the wrong way, it'll still, if you use the wrong word, it'll still forward to us. Or you can just contact me, marjah360.com. That's MARJAH 360.com, marjah360.com. And there you can see a video on a bit about what we do. And you'll have all of the links to our social media is there. So you can find all of that there in one shot. Books, some of our authors, we list some of them there, and so you can tap in and see what books we've created and what we've published. You can find my books there. I have 5 books now that of my own that I've published and co-authored, and I have several more coming soon, which I'm really excited about. Our next book is Next Life Next. Myself and a co-author, we created that. And that was the book that we wrote that we wished our mothers had had at the beginning
Mm.
of their life journey. And we answered the question in that book, what if our mothers had access to the personal development and the people and the coaches and the trainers and cheerleaders that we have in our life? How
Mm.
different would their life be? So we created a fun, colorful, accessible book that would have attracted people like our mom. And he and I are both amazing coaches and have gotten to help so many people because we've had so many amazing coaches that have coached and trained us. But neither one of us was able to help our mothers. We
Hmm.
went back to with what we know, and they couldn't receive it. And so that was heartbreaking. My mother is now Angel, and his mom is in the last of her life, and I said we maybe we couldn't help our mothers. We just loved them, and that was enough. However, how can we help people like our mother? So Next Life Next is coming out, and yeah. But for your book and your why and your reason and what you're here to put out and make a difference and an impact in the world, awaforlife.com.
Awesome. Cool. I'll make sure everything there is linked up in the show notes. When's your new book coming out? Do you have a date?
That'll be out in about 60 days, and We already did a soft launch of that for at an event 2 weeks ago, and it was a raving success. And yeah, I love speaking on stages and talking not just about the books that we're making and but the content in there. And I got to be on stage at that event, and we did a soft launch and book signing of that book, and it was well received. So I'm really excited about bringing this out into the world and
Awesome.
marketing it.
Of course, there has to be marketing. Awesome. Well, thanks you for your time again today, and it was a pleasure having you on.
It was a pleasure, Chris. Thank you so much. And I look forward to doing many great things with you and getting authors uh, known even more.
Awesome. Damn, what an awesome episode. If you've got a book that you're advertising or not yet advertising, and you want some book marketing advice directly from me, I'd love to set up a book marketing review with you. It's basically a 30-minute consulting session that you can get for free, worth $1,000, where we can basically dive right into everything that you're currently doing or not doing, and everything that you could do to sell as many books as possible according to your goals. So if you want to sell 100 books a month, 1,000 books a month, or anything in between, we can really help you outline a strategy to help you get there. To book your session with me, just click the link in the description below, smartauthormedia.com/chat, and you'll be able to book a time that suits you to go through everything with me so that we can help you sell some more books starting today. Look forward to speaking to you on the call.